Here we go. Being Catholic, but not, if you do a checklist, I don't fit. And the Vatican would excommunicate me. But I have the rituals and the beauty of the Gregorian music and all that. And a psychoneuroimmunologist, somehow somebody in the Vatican figured out that it would be interesting if I could do some investigations of stigmata when they happen, because what the Church does, the Catholic Church, it tries to avoid the circus atmosphere in stigmatics when they happen, because when there's a stigmatic event, you have spontaneous healings, all kinds of things happening, and the Church doesn't recognize it as any kind of divine intervention, because anything after the apostolic times, after the apostles, nothing is considered a divine intervention of public revelation, but it's more like a private revelation. Okay? So it's disowning.
It means that they're allowed to, you as a person are allowed to be influenced, but you will never be acknowledged as someone who could influence the church.
Exactly. That's it. And Padre Pio was canonized not because he was a stigmatic, but because of the work that he did and the miracles and the things. So you never get canonized for the stigmatas. There's been about 340 since St. Francis of Assisi in 1224. And how many of you saw the film Stigmata? What the priest does in that film, that's what I do, but it's, you know, they had all kinds of, they Hollywoodized the thing. Padre Pio had his stigmata when he was 19, not when he was 26. You never have stigmatics who are possessed, and you never have stigmatics who are atheists. That's not true. Nothing's happened like that. But you know, in Hollywood, you have to create that kind of thing. But so they asked me to do these things, and I thought it was a wonderful opportunity, because stigmatics, if they're true stigmatics, where there's divine intervention or super immunity, will bleed but will not become anemic. Most of their wounds, that's called the crimson wounds, they smell like roses or some kind of flowers. They don't have infections, but they hurt, because it's a medieval model of suffering. It's kind of a misguided martyr. And I'll tell you later how we deal with the psychotherapy of the stigmatic if they want to change. They're about 40 around. 99% Catholics. There was one black female Baptist in California. And the reason is she was reading the Crucifixion of Christ and became obsessed with it, and she had the stigmata. And the Baptists were very embarrassed. You know, usually you can have one or the 5, but some people have bleeding from the eyes, and it's a different kind of process. But the true stigmata is either one or all 5 of the wounds of Christ. And yes. Yes, because what happens is you trigger in your own belief system. Yes, and one that I investigated, a priest in St. Lucia, they had about 50 cases of spontaneous healing. And the doctor that picked him up to put him on the plane, because he was in excruciating pain, they were giving him IV Valiums and all kinds of things to relax you, and pain medication that would stop a horse, and he kept hurting. So anyway, this doctor had chronic pain. And the moment he lifted the priest, the chronic pains stopped. And I interviewed him 6 months later, and he still had the pain gone. And I asked him, "What do you think happens?" And I'll be damned, I don't know. You know, we're not taught that in medical school. So you have that spontaneous healing. So the stigmatics, most of the time, yes, because. Yes, they have the same constantly. Most of the time, yes, and sometimes it's during the sacred holidays, the pain intensifies as if you're actually feeling the nail. Yeah. So, yes. Okay. See, I told you to ask me hard questions.
Mario, you have to, we're all stigmatics,
oh, yes,
but
okay.
What makes these people different from us?
What makes them different from us, and if we're all children of God, right?
Well,
first is that your biology will follow your belief system. What Carolyn says about the biography, your biology will follow your biography. That's it. You have a belief system that if it's strong enough, and many of these people pray for years to have the stigmata, that something happens that whatever your connection with God is, and whatever you think your identity with God is, and in this case at a very medieval suffering, then you will have that. And what will happen is that it's based on your reality system as a Catholic, as a sufferer, and as an identification with the pain of Christ rather than the love of Christ. So you will get whatever you believe. Near-death experiences don't happen just near-death experiences. They're based, a Tibetan will see the bardo, and the Catholic will see the saints, and they all see the light. But you will have, even, I guess divinity is kind enough that it doesn't shock you. It lets you go out the way that you think you should. So that's what it is. It's a belief system that allows you to be divine, to have a super immunity. And we all have that, but we're just afraid to do it.
Can I ask? So,
Sure.
I guess I've been under interesting. I mean, I'm finding this intriguing because I thought that the stigmata. My impression was that, especially if you look at Francis or Padre Pio, was that it was a sign of being chosen to represent the healing authority of the Christ energy, not the person Jesus, but the Christ energy.
Yes, and the problem is that they identify with the pain, and they will get. It's like if you have to know how to ask for enlightenment, because Nietzsche said that God is a comedian who performs for an audience who's afraid to laugh. So if you say, God, please make my hand like the other one, you'll get this. You have to be real careful. So the stigmatics they are chosen, and they want to be chosen, but their mindset is chosen through the suffering, as opposed to being chosen. And in fact, the therapy is based on changing that particular process from pain. You have to have a bishop, you have to have an authority figure to work with them. But then when you make the change from the identification of Christ from the suffering to the ascendance, like in Rio, you have the ascending Christ. It's not in a crucifixion. Then the wounds begin to change, and they continue to have the ability to heal. Yes? No. No, the pain. You can have... no, because the ascension doesn't include but you can have invisible stigmata, but you still have pain. And that's, some of them start that way, invisible for a year, and then all of a sudden it breaks. And now hysterics cannot do that. Hysterics can cause pseudo seizures, pseudo pregnancy, but you can't break tissue as a hysteric. And what we investigate is some of them are self-mutilators. After St. Francis, there was an abbot who actually did self-mutilation, and under some severe torturing, he confessed. But it was self-mutilation. Peter, yeah.